Here, the National Health Laboratory Services confirmed this afternoon it suffered a hack of its data. It says no patient data has been compromised. The service says its investigations have found a ransomware attack is responsible. Sibusiso Sishi is an offensive cybersecurity specialist. Sibusiso, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. We've seen so many cases like this. This time it's the National Health Laboratory Services. There was the Justice Ministry a while ago, other departments before that. What kind of ransomware attacks are we now seeing?
So basically what's happening is that attackers are viewing South Africa sort of like as easy target because of sort of like the late technology and people not patching their systems accordingly. So once the attacker gets access to the network and they extract the information that they want out, they will attack. So the attackers always like to pick the easiest targets, organizations where they could cause a lot of damage, and also that are very easy to hack. So basically, these ransomware attacks, normally they're like the final endpoint of the final step on what they've done of taking out the information. So therefore, now it's going to be about a case of, can I ransom you to make you pay to get you access to your data again?
When you're the victim of this, when your systems are hacked, you can't get into them. What's the best thing to do? And I know it must be very tempting to just pay the money quickly and hope for the best.
Yeah, so it's a very hard one because I've known some organizations that have paid and have received their data back, but paying is a very risky method that you're going to take, and also you basically what you want to have is you want to just ensure that you have proper backups, like really off-site backups, and you also need to check that those backups that you have of your systems are up to date, so close to when the ransomware happened, and also that the ransomware has not been the ransomware, the executable is not on those systems as well. So it becomes a very slow process to come back, especially if you're not going to pay the attackers their ransom. And also the flip side of that is that some of these ransomware operators, what they'll do is they'll threaten you with exposing your data to the internet, which can also cause a lot of more harm. Now you're not harming the organization. Now you're also harming the people that use that organization. So therefore, I know that's why the reason why I said like some companies, they really do end up paying them just to make sure that the data does not get exposed. But just to answer your original question is basically it's to just ensure that you have proper backups and you have a proper system in place for these sort of scenarios where they can happen, and chances are they will happen.
I've covered several of these cases, and when it happens, the companies or the institutions, they don't say anything. And I can't blame them. It must be a terrible situation to be in. But is that the right approach? I think very, very difficult to come out and say we're never going to pay. No one wants to say they've given in to extortion. Their hands are kind of tied, I've noticed.
Yeah, so organizations don't want it to say that they've been hacked, or they've suffered a breach, because obviously it lessens their their reputation, and also some people do end up not trusting them, and also some organizations may sort of like want to take a step back as well from working with them because of the breach. But yes, a breach is very, very terrible, and to recover from a breach, it also depends on like how extensive your networks are. It can be extremely, extremely long. Quite recently, there was a breach that happened, and it literally took a company close to a month to come back from that. And even now, they're still not 100% operating at 100%. So sometimes these organizations literally just take the risk of saying, let's pay them and hope that they're working on good faith, these attackers.
This is happening around the world. There have been hospitals in the United States, a massive oil pipeline in the US. We've seen credit agencies and other institutions attacked here. There's been a lot of speculation about who does this. They're international syndicates, obviously. Is it expensive to protect your system? It's not something you can discuss now. You have to do it. Is it expensive to do it?
I wouldn't say it can be expensive. Obviously if you're gonna go buy tools and and all kind of technologies to help you with these things, but then the root cause of most of these breaches is what I've seen out there is is people not doing the correct patching on their systems, especially the systems that are sitting on the internet. So it's basically, it falls down to patch management and ensuring that users are not downloading and executing things that they've downloaded from the internet. Because if you notice, like in your emails, you'd get a lot of junk mail that comes through, and a lot of the junk mail that people will click on it because they see something fancy, like, hey, there's a free holiday. They click on it, and clicking on it, can basically bring in some malware that infiltrates a person's computer, their corporate machine, and then they take this corporate machine to their environment, to their work. They plug it into the network, and now the attackers have also got access now to that network. So I want to say to organizations that have suffered the breaches, just go back to the basics. Just make sure that you're doing proper patching on all your systems. You have a good understanding of all the systems that you have internet facing. You have a good understanding of the rights that your users have within your organizations, and you've limited them to also what they can do on their machines. And I always recommend that you do those things before going out to the market and saying, hey, we need some expensive solution to assist us with ransomware. And then another very important one is having a good, it's called the EDR. So the EDR is basically an endpoint detection tool. Basically, it uses behavioral things to tell an administrator or security expert saying, hey, there's something malicious that's going on in this machine. Please go review it. And I always recommend companies to install EDRs and antiviruses on their machines. That's another sort of like stopgap that they could take. And those are not expensive to implement and install before you're gonna go start buying big tools.
Sibusiso Sishi, thank you. Offensive cybersecurity expert, really do appreciate the time.